How's it going, YouTube? Coming to today with another video, and today, guys, what the video is going to be 3 underdogs that you really want to learn this format. These decks are fantastic, and one in particular I'm playing for the foreseeable future. I'm very excited to show you these deck lists, and definitely let me know what you think about them down below in the comments. Also, if you want to change anything around, you want to let me know what you think would be better, let me know as well. I'm open to suggestions. These 3 decks, though, I feel like are going to have a major impact in the format as they're already showing results. And I feel like they are going to be even better moving forward with how they interact into the format. Today we're going to be going over how they fit into the format, how you can side to beat the format, and what your non-engines should look like in these decks. Also, how you can cater your decks to beat your worst matchups. Definitely go ahead and check out my sponsors on Cloud, Arla, Imperium, Dragonshield, RW, MainPhaze, and Grimoire. If you haven't already looked at my METAFY, definitely go ahead and do so for one-on-one coaching. And then subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so we can hit our goal at 30,000. I appreciate each and every one of you. Now let's go ahead and hop right into the deck list. Now, Azamino Orcust is a deck that I'll end up playing for a while now because of the fact that you have so many different options in the deck, and that's very exciting. Many ways to be able to push through negation, many ways to be able to set up a board in different types of boards. One thing you have to be very mindful of right now is Super Poly. The card is absolutely fantastic right now. People are putting up Dragoon, people are putting up Silvera. There's a lot of opportunity to use things like Super Poly at the moment. So that's something that you really want to keep in mind. But I like this deck a lot because of the fact that DMod is broken. This card is actually so ridiculous. Before you're even trying to set up any like Orcust plays, right? You're going to start going through like your Witch plays. Now you go Witch and your opponent stops the Witch because they don't want you to get Silvera. Cool. Summon DMod effect, anything. They stop you again. Sick. You just played through 2 interruptions already. Now we're just going to go ahead and commit our normal summon and go full Orcust combo, right? So there are so many different ways to be able to just like play through interruption or force your opponent's hand to really have to use interruption. And then being able to summon things like Dragoon, when you have to negate early, right, you can just pitch like Harpor or something out of your hand anyways, right? So a lot of the cards work really well within the deck. And the other thing too is, like, let's say that your Deception engine starts going through. You can get to things like Queen Azamina and you get a free Vamp. So not only do you get double Omni, you get a free Vamp to just get into your Orcust cards anyways, right? So the bridge is there, which is really cool. The consistency, the pushes, the amount of non-engine in this deck is insane. Being able to play 15 hand traps, 3 Super Poly, prime, right? That's so good. I really like Nibiru right now as well. A lot of people are just not respecting that card. That should be in your side, if not your main. I think that card is very phenomenal right now. It's something very underexplored, but I think that that card is really, really solid at the moment. Pankratops is the #1 way currently to out Di-Fi. If you don't know what that is, Dimensional Fissure. Somebody asked about it last time, so I might as well just put it out there. It's Dimensional Fissure. If you're playing any kind of graveyard-based deck with monsters, you need an out for that card because it's in most sides right now. It's very annoying to deal with, but it is there, and you need a pretty reliable out, and Pankratops is that. You could always main the Droplet inside something like Super Poly, but I would rather main the Super Poly, and you could also play things like Fallen and Virtuous, but I feel like with the way that the end boards are looking now, Super Poly just becomes a whole lot better, especially in this deck where you can just like pitch cards for free, right, and it doesn't really matter. As compact as the deck list is, this deck list has been absolutely phenomenal, and I'm very excited to be able to play this more moving forward. Now, as for everyone's favorite Cyberus deck that just won't die, right, Malice. Now, this deck has had so many tops since Binder got banned, which is actually insane. This deck just does not want to die. And, you know, what's crazy is the fact that when Binder left, so did GWC. A lot of people aren't playing that anymore because it loses so much value. And I don't disagree. I think that you can play without that card and you're perfectly fine. It doesn't really do a whole lot at that point. You are still playing like the double allure, but even though you're playing Impulse, you're playing cards like Valor because now the deck is like more so into like Heat Soul lines too. Heat Soul is a absolutely fantastic card for this deck, and you can play so many hand traps and interruptions for your opponent. Your end board too, it could be like the Heat Soul line. You can go on the Echo and then bring everything back anyways. I've seen a lot of people just using a lot of hand traps to stop your opponent and then going for the Cryptor OTK, right? Which is definitely fair too. Siding things like Di-Fi. I've seen like Mistaken Arrest and what have you as well, which you could play that. I prefer just playing Droll. I know that it's really nice for you if you're like end of turn, right? You can just like rip the Arrest or during your opponent's turn. But I really just have Droll because I feel like it's a bit more flexible. And then maining the 3 Charmies. Malice is like one of those decks that people actually side Charmies all the time instead of just maining them at all. But in this deck alone, especially with the way it is right now, I would believe in maining the 3 Fua and then siding 3 Perulia. I definitely would not be maining 6 Charmies in this deck, especially if you're trying to go for like a Heat Soul line. You get Poke going first and you're just drawing dead Charmies, right? It just sucks. So playing the 3 is fine, but you're also playing like a ton of other non-engines, so like that's also fine, right? And then we're playing the 3 Retzi because of Draco Tail, of course. You want to play that card. The rest of the deck is like pretty standard, and Malice has always just been Malice, right? But this is a deck that does play through quite a lot at the moment. And, you know, it's something that a lot of people still don't want to see around, but it's still here, right? It's still very good. And the deck itself, besides Impulse, because they went up again after they were like 15, I think they're back up to like 40. This deck is still very strong, and it's pretty cheap relatively compared to other things. So if you want a deck right now that's like gonna get you by, this is probably the deck that you want to pick up for now. Now I have to save the best for last, and if we're going with any deck at the end here, it's going to be Magnet Warrior. Now, yes, 2026, we are playing Magnet Warrior. This deck is absolutely smoking in the regional circuit right now, doing very well. Now, I feel like this deck alone is not fully optimized yet. I see a lot of lists right now that are not playing a lot of cards that I have a lot of questions about, right? Because I'm just like, there are some very good rock cards out there to be playing with this too. So I'm sure that these lists will keep evolving. Now, your non-engine could realistically be whatever you want it to be. I see a lot of people playing Purge, which Purge is obviously a very good card, but locking you out of water is really awkward when you're already playing Duo, and it's like a really solid card for you, right? So, like, not necessarily my favorite, right? But again, there's a lot of tinkering that can be done with his deck right now, and I think that's like one of the coolest things about it is A, you bring this to an event, a lot of people still don't know what the cards do, right? Which is already an upper hand. B, there are so many tech options out there that people haven't even seen for the deck yet. Because a lot of people right now are just like slamming the Churia Beast on board and calling it a day, which is like not bad, right? But like there are other ways to go about it. The other thing too that I've not seen yet, which I'm going to do for sure in my sideboard, is siding 3 Analyzer. I don't know why we're not siding this for going second. This card's broken. Especially if you're trying to threaten Exciton immediately. And being able to just like summon Analyzer and then go summon another 4 off the Analyzer and go directly in Exciton and threaten board, right? It's just free. And, you know, there are so many ways that we can go about this, especially with like Kwaki Miro cards. The deck itself can kind of just like rip through boards, and it plays through a lot of interruption. So I think that this deck is low-key like one of the craziest sleepers that we have right now. And this deck is pennies. It is pennies. If you don't play like the Berserkion, which you definitely don't need to play, 100%, that's like not necessary. And you can even just like play the Fiendsmith cards because you can make a rank 4 so easy. But as it stands right now, this deck is like actually pennies. And it's something that if you want to do really well and just catch people off guard, this is the deck to do it. And it's funny because before these like newer cards came out, I was talking to my friends and I was like, do we think that it actually does something? Because it did something on like Duel Links. It was like a really big deck. I remember like a little while ago, like not like too soon ago, but a little while back, I saw these cards do like kind of well. And I was like, man, do we really think that these cards are going to do something? And they have, right? So this is something that if you want to pick up for really cheap and experiment with it, these are going to be A, just very fun to play. And B, I think that they can be very competitively viable. So definitely go ahead and check these 3 deck lists out and let me know what you think about them. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.